First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Just in as the newscast begins, the UF Facility Senate considered a vote of no confidence on the nomination process for Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse as the next president of UF. This joins the Student Senate in unanimously condemning the process last week. The outcry from the UF community continues to grow. The question now is how the university will respond. That's up first at 5. This is WUFT News. I'm Ashley Weinstein.
And I'm Tyler Carmona. Thanks for joining us. We're going to start right there. Our team of reporters has been out covering every angle of this vote today. Our very own Mariana Larson was at the Faculty Senate today. Faculty Senate Chair Dr. Amanda Phelan said the reason there was only one finalist is because the candidates didn't want to be revealed publicly unless they chose a sole finalist. So the committee decided to select one rather than selecting none. The Faculty Senate rallied together to discuss how Senator Ben Sasse was chosen as a sole finalist for president. 150 senators attended the meeting this afternoon, some in person and some virtually. Several amendments were read, and it was even mentioned that time wasn't a factor. They were willing to discuss the issue as long as needed to make sure people were able to express their sentiments regarding the process. This emergency meeting was called at the Senate meeting last Thursday, where Chair Dr. Amanda Phelan addressed the search process. She explained why there is only one finalist. Several amendments were read.
State university president selections and higher candidate selections across the state. The resolution would greatly benefit from adding alternative processes. Proposing one or several processes for lawmaker would go a long way to add weight to our complaints because we would demonstrate we're actively participating in the mechanism for our president election and not just
A vote of no confidence does not have a direct effect on if Sasse will become the next president. As the presidential selection process continues to unfold, students are speaking out about newly enforced restrictions for future protests. In a campus-wide email sent Monday, UF President Ken Fox wrote that protests are prohibited inside campus buildings, but student activists' plan for organizing rallies won't change. Young Democratic Socialists of America Chair Alan Fursuri says protesting is vital and powerful. The email, while disappointing to some, won't stifle future actions.
So, we just want to bring people out, get people to, know each other as a community and unite in opposition to Ben Sasse and this farce of an interview that's taking place on November 1st.
While protests will still occur, students violating the reinstated policy may face consequences. Administrators will enforce a campus policy prohibiting protesting inside buildings at next week's Board of Trustees meeting with Sasse.
The weather felt great on today's walk to campus.
That's right, Ashley. WUFT's Derrah joins us now with the weather forecast.
This morning, we've had a variety of low temperatures. If you are headed towards the Panhandle, temperatures in the 50s, headed towards Gainesville, temperatures in the 60s, and headed south, temperatures in the 70s. Right now, we're in the mid-80s, but look at that coast-to-coast difference. 70s on the east and mid to low 80s on the west. Over the next couple of hours, temperatures are going to cool down to our overnight low in the mid-60s tonight, and we're also tracking some rain developing overnight tonight as well. I'll have more on that in my full forecast coming up. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. 4 people are recovering from injuries after a crash on Highway 441 yesterday. Both the Alachua County and the Gainesville Fire Rescue Department responded to an accident at the intersection of the 43rd Street extension on the 414. A high-speed collision damaged 5 vehicles. 1 victim was removed from a car using the jaws of life. All 4 victims were transported to local hospitals with injuries of varying severity. And the Highway Patrol is hoping for more cell phone and video footage of witness accounts from yesterday. Deadly pileup on I-75 in Marion County. Investigators believe a car and semi traveling southbound tangled and crossed the median, causing a number of collisions in the northbound lanes. 3 people were killed and 2 more were hospitalized with serious injuries, including a Gainesville man.
Former President Donald Trump is holding a rally in Miami ahead of the midterms. The rally is set to prominently feature Senator Marco Rubio, who's up for re-election. But some say it's more notable that one candidate was left out, Governor Ron DeSantis. The rally comes as the relationship between Trump and DeSantis has reportedly grown distant ahead of a potential presidential showdown in 2024. As Trump shifted focus toward his own political future, sources say he's annoyed that DeSantis would not commit to staying out of the race if Trump won. DeSantis is widely believed to be his most formidable opponent should they both run in 2024. The Trump camp says it did not inform DeSantis ahead of the rally, but one source suggests it wasn't a snub and rather the result of a conversation with Rubio.
If you missed our Gainesville mayoral debate or want to watch it again, there are 3 nights when it will be showing on Wuft-TV. It features the runoff candidates Harvey Ward and Ed Bilarski. Tomorrow it will be broadcast at 8:30. Next Tuesday it will air at 8 p.m. And on Saturday, November 5th, it will air at 7 o'clock.
I'll definitely be tuning in.
Across Florida, jobs are down from Hurricane Ian, and we'll have a look at the hurricane hunters due to the collect and data people need in times of crisis. But first, an organization helping veterans could be receiving a national award. That's up next after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. Land Rover is hosting the Defender Service Awards, and local service dogs are nominated. Patriot Service Dogs is a vet in Marion County that trains service dog for veterans without charge. The dogs assist with PTSD, brain injuries, and mobility issues. The organization is one of 5 finalists for the Veteran Outreach category. It's the only organization in Florida to receive a nomination.
A local punk rock festival is celebrating its 20th anniversary this weekend. Downtown Gainesville has already started setting up for the Fest Florida. Fest is an annual weekend event featuring back-to-back concerts at multiple venues. Hundreds of bands are performing at 18 venues from Friday to Sunday. It's the How Bizarre's first year as a Fest venue. How Bizarre's co-owner says they're excited to be hosting the musical acts.
The reason that we're in here is because we recognize that significance and importance, so we're really grateful for the opportunity to be able to open our doors to different artists and musicians and creatives in the community.
All tickets for Fest have sold out. The event will return to Gainesville next year.
I'm sure if you're headed out to Fest, you'll want to know what the weather's going to look like.
Yeah, is it going to be nice out there? Let's leave it to the professionals, Derrah. What's it going to look like?
Well, as scattered showers pop up across our area, we're expecting up to a ½ inch of rain in Gainesville through the rest of the week. I'll have more on that after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Right now we're tracking several developing showers and thunderstorms south of Gainesville between Ocala and the Villages. You can see some heavier rain developing this evening, especially along I-75 here. It doesn't look like anything's going to make its way to Gainesville this evening. Most of these showers are south of Gainesville and in Chiefland, Ocala, the Villages, over all the way to Daytona Beach. Right now we're in the low 80s. We're going to be cooling down to the mid 60s tonight. 64 in Gainesville, and as we head further south, warming up just a bit to the 65s in Ocala. You can see mostly cloudy skies out, and it looks like some potential for rain to develop. You can see some cloud buildup in the back there, and it feels like 86 out. This is overnight tonight. You can see some heavier rain along I-75 down to the Villages and a stray shower here in Gainesville. Heavy rain developing along I-4 to Daytona Beach and a lingering cluster of rain along the I-75 corridor between Ocala and Gainesville. You can see it's lingering and stretching into parts of Palatka as well as Chiefland and lingering down into Ocala. So you're in for a wet commute tomorrow morning. A light breeze will develop as that rain clears out, and partly sunny skies as those clouds clear out of our area. This is Friday afternoon. You can see a stray shower draped across Gainesville, some heavy rain lingering down in Palatka. You can see it's going to last for a few hours down there in Palatka, and a stray shower here in Gainesville stretching up towards I-75 going towards Lake City, but that rain's going to clear out just in time for your evening commute, and it looks like the rest of the evening we're going to be dry. High wind speeds tomorrow as well. We're going to be in the double digits, 11 miles per hour in Gainesville, 19 miles per hour in St. Augustine, and 16 miles per hour in Jacksonville. Let's take a look at your weekend outlook. Partly cloudy skies on Saturday, mostly sunny on Sunday, and lots of sunshine on Monday, as well as clear skies overnight on Monday. We're only tracking rain on Friday, and it looks like the rest of this week we're going to be dry, so temperatures are going to climb back into the mid-80s next week. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. The aftermath of Hurricane Ian is showing up in Florida's jobless numbers. For multiple weeks now, the first-time claims have topped 9,000, a level not seen since June 2021. And 2 more resorts have informed the state of their layoffs. 591 at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples and 238 at the South Sea Island Resort on Captiva Island. This week, we're profiling the mission of the Hurricane Hunters, the Air Force Reserve group that flies into tropical cyclones to gather data. Our pro-chief meteorologist Jeff George heads the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network based here at UF. He visited the team at Kessler Air Force Base to get a first-hand look at the critical work.
I'd say we work together pretty well as a team. Everyone has a particular role. For instance, the weather officer, they're going to be looking for the center of circulation, the center of lowest pressure. I, as the navigator, I'm going to be using the radar to pick my way through a storm.
On the plane, I'm a flight meteorologist. In the storm environment, I act as a mission director. I'm looking at all the weather data that the plane is collecting as we're flying through the storm, find the exact center of circulation based on the way the winds are blowing. And then we're also talking to the National Hurricane Center, making sure we're getting also what the forecasters want.
What is your role on this mission?
I'm the navigator, so what I'm doing is predominantly using radar to find the safest way through the storm, looking at what the risk factors are with what I'm seeing on the radar, then communicating that to the pilots as they're flying through. There may be one pilot who's strictly working the yoke, keeping the aircraft at the right altitude and pointed in the right direction, and the other pilot may be working the throttles, keeping the airspeed on, both so you don't get too slow and obviously have lift issues, but also not going too fast. We fly through at a rough air penetration speed, so that gives maximal control of the aircraft, but is also then avoiding the aircraft being beat up by the elements outside. Once you break out into an eye, yeah, it is most oftentimes opened up, but the rest of the storm, you're going to be in clouds, sometimes extreme level of precipitation where you really can't see anything outside. So I'm going to be using the radar to find our way through.
The Loadmaster, they release this instrument called a drop zone. We release it through this tube. We'll drop it at the endpoints, which is where we enter the storm, in the eye wall, in the center, and then in the outbound eye wall. On one pass through the storm, we'll drop 5 sondes. Sondes fall at 2,500 feet per minute. So in a hurricane, standard is 10,000 feet, so usually 3 to 4 minutes. Once the sonde flashes, the Loadmaster, they look at all that data from the sonde. I'm gonna look over that again, and then I'm gonna send it down to Parka at the National Hurricane Center, where they send it out to the public.
Do you feel like you're learning more and more about hurricanes every year so we can put that knowledge to better forecasting and better outlooks?
I'm not an expert in the forecasting, but if you were to talk with the folks at the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center, they do refine the models and are able to improve that accuracy over time. It's an iterative process of improving things. Weather's a very dynamic system, and you'll never be at that point where you can predict with perfect accuracy.
Now that takes us to sports. I'm excited for the Florida-Georgia football game Saturday. Are you, Tyler?
I am, and I can't wait to hear about it. But first, our very own Kaitlin Wadulack previews Gators soccer's final game of the season. Stay right here to find out why the Orange and Blue won't be participating in this year's SEC tournament.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Kaitlin Wadulack. The Gators soccer season comes to a close tonight as Florida hosts Texas A&M at Donald R. Disney Stadium. The Gators' last home game was a 2-5 loss to Vanderbilt. Florida has yet to beat an SEC team this season, leaving them at the bottom of the barrel in conference standings. Only 10 teams can advance to the SEC tournament beginning October 30th, and both Kentucky and Florida don't have enough points to qualify. Ahead of tonight's game, Texas A&M has gone unbeaten in 6 straight matches, looking to keep a spot in postseason play. Game time is set for 6 p.m. In their pivotal conference battle, the number 14 Gators volleyball team swept the Auburn Tigers last night to claim the top spot in the SEC standings. Merritt Beeson and Sophia Victoria led the Gators' offensive attack with 14 kills apiece, while Marina Markova slammed down 11 kills of her own. Florida is now 8-2 in conference play with a 16-4 overall record. Kentucky now sits behind Florida in SEC play, claiming a 7-2 record. The Gators are back in the O-Dome this weekend with back-to-back matches against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Saturday's match begins at 1 p.m. and First Serve Sunday is scheduled for noon. We are one day closer to the Florida-Georgia football game in Jacksonville this weekend. The Gators defense has been struggling this season, ranked 12th in SEC total defense and 13th in rushing yards allowed. Despite going up against the #1 team in the country, Florida defensive lineman Tyreek Sapp said the Gators defense is coming together.
I feel like we're a very, very talented defense. We just have to bring it all together, and we all understand that it's going to take work and it's going to take time. But at this point, it's a matter of time, and that time's coming up and time's ticking. So we just got to take advantage of it. We got to look at this moment. We got to seize it. We got to put our best foot forward as a defense, as a team.
Kickoff Saturday is set for 3:30 p.m. Over at Citizens Field tonight, the Buchholz Bobcats football team hosts the Fleming Island Golden Eagles. Both teams are coming off of losses last week. The Bobcats fell to Bartram Trail 21-6, their first loss this season. Meanwhile, the Golden Eagles lost to Creekside by 3, the final score 38-35. The game is set for 7 p.m. Former Gator Kadarius Toney was traded to the Chiefs by the Giants this afternoon for a 2023 third-round compensatory pick and a 2023 sixth-round pick.
Thanks, Kaitlin. Finally, Oak Hammock gave kids some early Halloween fun. The retirement community hosted Trunk or Treat last night. More than a spookily decorated dozen vehicles and other stations handed out treats to the kids. The event also featured a petting zoo, snow cones, games, contests, and music on the senior living campus. It wasn't just sweet treats, though. One former elementary school teacher gave out over 125 books to the kids.
Now, before we go, one last check on the weather.
This evening, partly cloudy skies. A light breeze will start to pick up later on tonight, and a rain chance developing overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, making for a wet commute. We're only tracking rain on Friday. The rest of this week will be dry and will be climbing back into the mid-80s. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. BBC World News is up next, and PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But remember, your Florida news is always on WUFT.org. Have a good night.